Hello, everybody. Welcome to a very special edition of the Mic Drop. I know I just dropped something on you guys yesterday that was pretty impactful about taking pride in who you are and that kind of stuff. Today is kind of a, it's not an actual entry. It's more like kind of like a, hey, I'm gonna let y'all know something because it's the Mic Drop, and it's my truth. Only this one actually comes with not just my truth. Just this actually comes with some actual text information. So here's something that well, I'll save a lot of it for the future because there's some stuff going on right now behind the scenes that I think could really help out Middlebury Community Schools, specifically Northridge High School, kind of going forward. The kids in particular, more than anybody else. So anyway, that's just knowledge that I'm going to have. Here's why I dropped this on the mic today. So as you know, when kids finish high school, they graduate. There's a ceremony, and there's usually a rehearsal, and there's staging, all that stuff, and it's meant to be a very prestigious event for a family. The kids a lot of the time are wondering why they're getting up so early and have to put on stuff that feels uncomfortable, and all the parents just want to do is say, "Thank God! Look at how awesome they look! They finally made it across the stage." And that was my mom. That was that was how my mom would react to me doing that, just out of love and just getting choked up. So anyway, my experience. I've been wondering, based on my last conversation that I had when I was out in Middlebury with the school board, whether or not I would be. I kind of wonder what would happen come graduation, and now we know. There, I have dozens of kids that I've worked with since the beginning of COVID. It's graduation 2022, 2023. So we all shut down in March of 2020. So 19, 2020, 2020, 21, 21, 22, 23 is next. That's this graduating class. That's 4 years, last I checked my math, which currently means that despite whatever the current people at Northridge High School think, I've actually been the counselor for 400 of those kids, longer than half of the people that have been employed there. And I only say that because my kiddos that are graduating are the ones that have been reaching out to me saying, "Hey, Mahan, we hope to see you at graduation." I made promises very specifically to some kids that if they made it through, I would be there at their graduation cheering as loudly as I can for them because, oh man, any number of reasons. One girl I know, her father just up and left. And she had expressed wishing that her father had seen her graduate, overcome all the stuff that she did in high school just to be able to do that. And I'm not a father. I've wanted to be my whole life, but I have been a big brother, and I've got two younger brothers. One's 6 years younger and one's 16 years younger. The 10 years I've been a high school counselor, I kind of had an inside man for about half of it because David was in high school during this time, helping me to be just a better counselor with the kids. And sorry, I got texted it this morning at like 9:15, so it's not even 10:15 yet. I'm still kind of reacting to a little bit. Here's what I was told. A little backstory. Back in April, there was a school board meeting that I attended. And this was a choice that I made to go out after everything negative that I experienced while working for the administration at the high school. I went back anyway to talk to the school board because something very, very traumatic had happened to the schools. And this is news, like this isn't a Mike Truth part. This is going to be like a Goshen News or the Elkhart Truth. This has been reported on. But there was a staff member at Northridge Middle School who had become so overwhelmed by the amount of bullying and harassment and general lack of internal customer service that was given to him by his supervisor, by his principal, and by other teachers within that school, to the point where he himself expressed feelings of suicidal ideation. And unfortunately, he took action on that, and he succeeded. And he did so in the parking lot of the middle school with a handgun. Now, I know the schools don't really probably want you to know all that. I don't care what people do or do not want to know if it's the truth. Welcome to the mic drop, where my truth is the only truth you get to hear. If you want other people's truths, they're spreading it. They'll tell it to anybody that wants to listen, but they won't record it, they won't write it down, and they sure as hell won't get caught being recorded saying it, because they're expert politicians. And they know full well that if they're going to offer... Well, I'll just tell you what happened. This morning, after I'd been to that school... I went to that school board meeting in April because after this individual had done this, I felt a responsibility to go out to the school board and, the superintendent and just say... I don't know if you guys knew this or not about my experience, but mine was very, very similar to John's. I felt bullied, I felt harassed, and I left this school district fearing for my life. And I've been in recovery for a year because of it. And some other stuff too that had definitely happened that was very traumatic in my life too. But what had happened to me at work was arguably the strongest catalyst that led me to one of the darkest places of my life. And this is what I'm coming out of. This is what the whole mic drop was all about, was feeling like I could never share my truth without it being manipulated, gaslighted against me, being made to make me feel like I'm inferior because reasons. I mean, any possible way they could twist and tweak different things. And this is why I'm not a divisive person. This is why I don't do the whole politics thing, because it's very exclusive and it's very icky. Like slimy and poisonous and just kind of... I've never really liked it myself. I've always been... Well, as my principal used to tell me, one of my worst qualities was that I was a chronic truth teller. I'm not really sure what that means. I don't know why you would be a chronic lie teller. Is that your aspiration? A chronic neutral, not saying anything? Like, I don't understand why it's a bad thing. Anyway, I found out that being a chronic truth teller is bad for politics because of perception. It's a big word that a lot of employers will try to use to control their employees if they feel like they're acting a certain way that they don't like. And, if you've met me, you know that most of the time that I'm a little bit different than most, because the way that I choose to involve myself in my kids' lives, at the high school and stuff like that. It's more than just being a counselor. I love going to their sporting events. It so happened that when I was the director of the pep band at the high school, I got to know a lot of my kids a little bit better than I would just as a school counselor, because I got to see them in an element where their passion was on display. And the kids are a little bit different when their passion is on display than when their academics are on display. And it depends on the child too, obviously. Sometimes it's reversed. The good news is that every kid is unique and gets to be different. It gets to be embraced and gets to be lauded as you get to be an individual in this world that's going to go out and make change. I believe the motto is inspiring students to shape the world. When I went to that school board meeting, I told them my experience, and I told them I didn't come here for anything to gain. In fact, me coming back out here, according to my therapist, the amount of trauma that I experienced at the hands of the other counselors, the guidance director, and the head principal. I don't know about the assistant principals. Towards the end of my time there, one of the assistant principals, Jamie Nathaniel, really helped to try. And she had this, she just kind of had this wisdom aura, or this knowledge aura, and this kind of like resigned. I don't know. And this is my intuition as a counselor, so I'm not speaking for her. This is, again, Mike's truth. So take it as you will. She just appeared very disheartened by the whole process. She even told me at one point while I was getting my stuff out of the high school. Oh, by the way, they took all of my stuff out of my office during a break that I was on for self-care and mental health, and decided to take all of it and throw it into the corner of an empty office so that my office could immediately be used by the new counselor who'd been there for a year. Yeah, I don't see a problem with that. If the office isn't being used, that's fine, go for it. But you threw all my crap in a corner. You you broke stuff that was priceless to me, and you don't even know it. You don't even care, because you did it so quickly without regard to thinking of anybody else that you probably haven't thought about it in a year and a half. But guess what? With media platforms like today, we get to bring stuff up from the past that maybe might be a little bit uncomfortable. When I left that school board meeting, I talked to the superintendent right at the end, because I'd actually, when you are involved in people's lives, especially in education, you have an opportunity to form such amazing bonds with not only the fellow educators, but with the children that are coming up with, critical and analytical minds that just want to question, why is the world the way that it is, and how does it work, and I love that stuff, man. I love to hear those questions. The problem with, in Mike's opinion, in Mike's truth, after 10 years of working in public schools right now, the main goal of public education in the schools that I've worked at, there seems to be more of a care about how the school is perceived by the public than whether or not the people that are working for the school are treated with any kind of human decency or dignity at all. Mic drop. And the reason I'm telling you all this now, and I'm not really holding anything back, is because of what happened this morning. Now, this morning, today, it's June 2nd, it's Friday, the graduation rehearsal is today. It's, it's all over the senior page, and of course my kids send me almost everything that it comes to, like, hey Mom, honey, you gonna be here? Or hey Mom, honey, you gonna be there? Or hey Mom, honey, you gonna be there? Or hey Mom, honey, you gonna be there? Which I love. I told my kids, you invite me to stuff, I will be there. I mean, they would have to literally arrest me to stop me from getting there to support my kids, right? Well, guess what? At 9:15 this morning, I was reached out to by one of the student resource officers at Middlebury Community Schools. And I'm going to read the text verbatim, so that way you can come up with your own truth on how to perceive it before I tell you what my truth is on how I perceived it. I don't want to jade you guys into thinking something I want you to think before you've had an opportunity to develop it on your own, unlike some administrators. Here's what it says. Hey Mike, I get to be the bearer of bad news, but I've been requested to contact you to ask you not to come to graduation Sunday. Ask. Okay? The risk for you is trespassing. I know you only want to see the kids, but the administration isn't seeing it that way. For whatever reason, you make people uncomfortable and they don't want you there. I just want to know who they is. Like, as if it's anybody more than the principal and the counselors, I'd be surprised. I honestly, I would. But I'm not going to go into the depths of how all of this is going to turn out, because I don't know. Honestly, that was the text. Take it as you will. Now that you've heard it and you've come to your own conclusions, I'm going to tell you something about the mic drop that I was going to save for a later time, and it was one of the big purposes why I've created this channel to begin with. People will use what they feel and perceive to be the truth as a weapon against you to control you if you don't know how to stand on your own 2 feet. And if you do, they'll bring an army of people trying to put you in your place so that you can be controlled. Public education isn't putting out kids anymore that critically think and analytically think. Predominantly, they're producing children that know how to obey. For some of you that know me better than others, you know that that idea in and of itself is enough to really, really irk me, because now you're taking away a child's individuality and creativity and imagination so that they can be a cog in the perceived systematic order that is this country and the world. I'm going to lay a mic drop on you. I know it's going to be a little shocker, but I don't like that. There you go. Just going to say it as it is. I got my reasons for not liking it, but that's the truth. So anyway, here's how this kind of digressed on a little bit. I was curious because I was shocked, but also wasn't surprised. So I said, I kind of had a feeling something like this would happen. I said, can you tell me who it was specifically? Like, are we talking about, like, just the principal and, the counselors? Is it the superintendent? And is it the assistant superintendent? Is it the school board? Like, who's they in administration that feels uncomfortable with me going? I don't understand why that would be a problem to ask. It's not like I'm going to be like, I demand to talk to them right now, which seems to be the fear, which I don't get. I think people are afraid of me showing up because I present a problem with their truth. And if they've carefully crafted a truth that they want people to perceive for a long period of time, you bring in someone genuine who is quote-unquote a chronic truth teller, that may screw up your plans a little bit. So anyway, I also asked too, I need to know the consequences of showing up anyway. Will I be arrested? Is this a request? Or is it an ultimatum? The response was, when I talked with, and he named a couple of individuals that gave him the information, he said an arrest for trespass was one of the options, and I am the warning portion of that piece. And I actually thanked him, because I know this SRO, and I know that he's a messenger. And I know he apologized at the very beginning. I'm sorry to be the messenger of bad news. I don't have a problem with people giving me bad news. I have a problem with the bad news. Just like everybody would. I'm not going to take that out on the messenger. So, yeah, I don't know. Some people take it out on the messenger. I don't get it. Sparta! Take a look. Regardless, I asked, can I be arrested for trespassing when I have a graduation ticket? A couple of my kids have said, Malahan, I don't have, that same girl whose dad's not going to show up has a graduation ticket for me, knowing full well I might be the only one in the stands cheering for her. And that breaks my heart a little bit. I'm not going to lie. Because she doesn't deserve that. And we'll move for now. So I asked that question, and I was replied with, yes, consider your ticket canceled or revoked. They, whoever they are adamant that they want to pursue the trespass if you show up. And since some other information, non-pertaining stuff, I asked him, I said, does central office know? The head administrators, like superintendents, I said, Dr. Jason Snyder, and Josh Yoder and Randy now. And I was told that he doesn't know. That he's only communicated with 2 individuals. And I asked, I said it's Friday, and I know that over the summer, a lot of the time that central office isn't open. I don't know when those hours start. But I said, are people working today at central admin? And he said, yeah, the parking lot was full when I drove by at 8 o'clock, but they're going to come out here to rehearsal later. I'm like, okay, cool. I said, any idea whether or not they're aware of this? And he had no idea. And I said, that's understandable. And all I said was very well. Emails and phone calls it is. Thank you for being the bearer of bad news. I know it wasn't easy, and I appreciate you. And he said, thanks. And that was the conversation I had this morning. Now, for some of you, you're asking the same question that I am. Well, maybe a couple. 1, who are they? 2, why would they feel uncomfortable? And 3, How uncomfortable do you have to be to prepare to arrest someone for trespassing at a school event he was invited to by the population graduating just to cheer them on? Especially when they don't have anybody else in their corner to do so. It's heartbreaking. People are so afraid of what? A different opinion? A different truth? A different reality than what they crafted? They're so afraid that they're threatening to arrest me for trespassing. If you don't know anything about me, know this. I'm 40 years old. I've never been arrested in my life. I have one speeding ticket. One. You know why? Because that's all it takes for me to learn. Once. Haven't had one in 20 years. I haven't been handcuffed. And the only time I've been fingerprinted has been voluntarily. Oh, look! I'm getting a call from the school. I wonder what's going to happen next. Stay tuned!